Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and the conversation surrounding Zelda's 40th anniversary and the latest movie leaks just got even more interesting. Yesterday we talked about various actors that apparently will be casted in the live-action Zelda movie. Some very prominent actors, such as Sam Neill, who has recently passed away. Very sad, but it looks like from the Zelda movie, it could be his very last role. Yvonne Strahovski, who's playing a queen-like character. Who might that be? Princess Zelda's mother? The Queen of the Zoras? There's various possibilities there. And then there's also Yuli Latukifu, who's going to be playing the role of Ganondorf. So there's some very interesting things that we learned already, but now there's even more that we're realizing here. We're learning about bigger plans for the Zelda series. We've seen some footage that actually came out a while back that was already a pretty significant leak about the Zelda movie, but fans have now discovered what appears to be even more about it. And then there's also some other things going on that could have some implications about how Nintendo will be delivering information for the Zelda 40th anniversary. And so we're going to be tackling all of that today. Now before getting into it, I'll just ask that if you find yourself enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed already, I would very much appreciate your subscription. So officially, we already know about Bo Bragison and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth playing as Princess Zelda and Link in the movie. But we also have now heard from these latest reports that Sam Neill will be in the movie, an award-winning actor, also Yvonne Strahovski, another award-winning actor, Deshen Lockman, who we've already seen leaked footage of playing as Impa in the movie, an award-winning actor, and Yuli Latukifu, who a lot of people are very much aware of, and many seem to be in agreement would be very fitting for the role of Ganondorf. And we also just learned that Lydia Peckman will also be a part of the cast. And so from what we're hearing so far, the general understanding is that Nintendo and Sony here are actually putting together a pretty strong cast. And what I find so interesting about this, maybe none of these actors are like extremely super famous like what we've seen with the Super Mario movie, but they are still very talented, high caliber actors. And it looks like they were more focused on picking characters that were very suited for their roles. Now, with the Mario movies, they are animated movies. They don't really have to think about the appearance of the character, they're just thinking about the voice. But now with this cast, it's apparent that they are considering their actual appearances here. Like, many people do agree that Yuli Latukifu could portray a very good Ganondorf. Or in the case of Sam Neill, perhaps he might be playing some kind of old wise man, like maybe the King of Hyrule, or the Sage of Light Rauru. There are some possibilities here. But something else exciting about these reports, and I kind of glossed over this in yesterday's video, even though I did mention the rumor of apparently this Zelda movie being the beginning of a trilogy. Within the reports from Deadline.com, it was mentioned that Latukifu actually inked a multi-picture deal here. So there's actually a little bit more evidence that this rumor of there being multiple Zelda movies in the works actually is going to be the case, and it just makes so much sense. I've already mentioned in prior discussions how both the actors for Link and Zelda are very young. It seems like they were picked so they can grow into the roles as they continue to put out more and more movies. But then you look at other characters like Yuli Latukifu or Deshen Lockman, yeah, they're playing significant characters in Ganondorf and Impa and will be involved for future movies, you would think, but these characters are more mature, so it's not like we're going to need to see them growing into the role physically. So they're going to look mostly the same over the coming years, but in the case of Bo Bragison and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, they're likely going to change. We're going to see them grow and mature over the coming years for the different movies, and that could play into the story here. So that's something to consider. And it's just exciting to think about that they're already planning ahead here, and that there are going to be multiple movies. If they already have it contractually set up with some of these prominent actors, that bodes really well for there being a strong cast for ever how many movies they plan to put out here. But now that people are aware of who apparently is going to be playing the role of Ganondorf in the movie, fans have noticed that perhaps we've actually already seen him already from leaked footage of the set. So if you remember, a while back we talked about some of this footage here where we can see Princess Zelda and Impa. And so as you see here, there's Princess Zelda, there are trees, there are people, there's this really strong looking guy walking in the background. You see these Hylian horses, you see Impa, but there he is. People are realizing that that probably was actually Yuli right there. He doesn't look like a normal knight. That might actually be the person who was playing Ganondorf, and he was off to the side this whole time, but there he is. That looks like that could definitely be him, and this person was right there under our noses this entire time, which is really interesting that we had seen this footage and not realized that the person playing Ganondorf has likely been there the whole time. So that's pretty cool to see that there, and it just kind of gets you wondering, is there perhaps other actors here, other things going on that we haven't realized? Maybe. I feel like most of the people here are just part of the crew, but this person has been here this whole time, and to my knowledge, to my understanding, no one's been talking about this person. I didn't realize it. I feel like I'm good at noticing these things, and I did not notice that there is this whole other person there that looks like they could be playing the role of Ganondorf. That's pretty crazy. Also, this horse here looks like Epona. It has like the reddish like tint or orange, you know, close enough, and then the white hair. That might literally be Epona behind what looks like Yuli playing the role of Ganondorf. Now, obviously, he's not fully garbed, or maybe he is. Or perhaps he's just like a knight, and there's just a similarity there, and perhaps we're a bit off. But it's very interesting to think about that maybe this footage has been there with him playing the role right under our noses for over half a year. And what makes this conversation even more interesting when considering Zelda's 40th anniversary, we've heard about various things that appear to be planned for the anniversary. Now, officially, we know about the Ocarina of Time Lego set, and we already know about the Ocarina of Time remake coming out for Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo's been very consistent in their messaging about this being reborn on the console, and it's still slated to come out this year as of Nintendo's recent financials. There hasn't really been any doubt of it getting delayed, but yes, it's still slated for this year. So those things very clearly are big deals for Zelda's 40th anniversary, which is this year, but Nintendo hasn't officially announced any anniversary celebration plans quite yet. Normally, they start making these announcements sometime in the summer, but based off other things we've heard, people are thinking, myself included, that Nintendo may be treating Zelda's 40th anniversary very similar to Mario's 40th anniversary, where they waited until the September Direct last year, where half of the Direct was just about Mario's 40th anniversary, where they made several announcements for different games coming out for the anniversary, and also showcasing the first look at the Mario Galaxy movie. And so we've heard about other things that supposedly will be happening for Zelda's 40th anniversary, such as a special Zelda-themed Switch 2, and a special Zelda-themed Switch 2 Pro controller. There have been whispers of different Zelda games that could be coming out soon in conjunction with the Ocarina of Time remake, like a new 2D Zelda, although I would assume that that might not even be announced this year. That could happen sometime next year, not too different from how Nintendo used Star Fox to still be a part of the big Mario 40th anniversary celebration in the movie, but it was announced and released afterwards. They might do that with a 2D Zelda next year, but then there's also whispers of somehow Twilight Princess being repackaged for this modern era, even though we're getting the Ocarina of Time remake. Maybe, I'm skeptical, we'll see how that works out. Maybe it's just through NSO, maybe it's something else, so that way also Switch 1 owners can play it. We've heard about some different things like this that could all be a part of Zelda's 40th anniversary, but then there are other considerations. I've been predicting for some time, especially based off what we've seen of Aonuma actually looking at construction plans at Super Nintendo World, and from what I've seen of the actual park itself and how it's been positioned, Zelda is likely that next expansion. I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the anniversary announcements, and then of course concerts have been done many times before, more merchandising stuff, that's all plausible, but like the Mario 40th anniversary celebration, a big piece to it, maybe the biggest piece, would be the movie. And the Zelda movie, you would think, would also have to be that too. If we're hearing about all this information about these different actors being casted for the movie, it kind of seems like maybe a little bit of that Zelda 40th anniversary direct is already being leaked here. Because how much are they going to want to show off in this presentation if they are also combining the first deeper look at the Ocarina of Time remake, because we've only just gotten a little bit of a teaser here. Maybe they want to hold off on telling us more about the movie, but if we're getting all these set leaks and we're hearing about all these different actors in the movie, things are tearing at the seams here. It seems like there's actually a lot of information about Nintendo's plans for the movie, Ocarina of Time, and other Zelda 40th anniversary things. They're just kind of getting out there. And Nintendo has been pretty quiet about the anniversary. They've been trying to hold back, not say that much, but we're learning things. We're continually learning things here. And it makes you wonder, how might they handle things with the actual presentation with all this information getting out there? Would they decide to not just give us like a cast reveal and just give us a proper trailer because of these leaks? Were they already planning to give us a big trailer regardless, and they're not too worried about that happening in the same presentation as a deeper look at the Ocarina of Time remake? Or could it be the case that when we do get a direct, probably in September, where they talk about these things, they do give us that big trailer, but this also means that they are positioning the Ocarina of Time remake reveal or deep dive at a different time. Like, I'm sure they'll still mention and showcase a little bit of the Ocarina of Time remake, but that deeper look, so we get a better understanding of this game, might happen at a different time. Does it suggest that maybe they're going to announce an Ocarina of Time remake direct after a general direct where they talk about the Zelda 40th anniversary stuff? Or could it perhaps be happening before? We aren't entirely sure. There is a rumor coming from Nash Weedle, and he has said that the source that has told him this he's very confident in, that we won't be seeing Ocarina of Time remake until September. Of course, if we're already expecting a September direct, and they also have a Zelda direct a little bit later into the month, that wouldn't really change that much. But something else that people are considering here, and some people even think it's the reason why Nintendo's been so quiet about the Ocarina of Time remake, has to do with Grand Theft Auto 6. So, Rockstar Games just recently announced that Grand Theft Auto, an extended look, will be premiering on Netflix on a Thursday, August 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we know that it'll be made available on YouTube a few hours later into the day, but this has created a whole bunch of conversation. A lot of people putting out points like, what if Nintendo did the same thing, where they announced that we'll get a deep dive at Ocarina of Time remake, but locked behind some sort of paywall for the first few hours? Firstly, let me just say that I don't think Nintendo is that concerned about what Rockstar Games is doing with Grand Theft Auto in relation to Ocarina of Time. I'm not trying to sit here and say there's a zero consideration. I'm sure there's some consideration, but I don't think Nintendo would be moving around the release date for the Ocarina of Time remake, at least not the month, the release month, because of Grand Theft Auto. I don't think that's the case. Reminder, Grand Theft Auto 6 currently is not coming out for Nintendo Switch 2, so Nintendo still needs to put out their own game to get people to buy their own console during the most significant sales period of the year. Now, in terms of revealing information, perhaps that's handled a little bit differently. We have seen that Nintendo does like to wait to reveal their own stuff until after the other companies. So maybe Nintendo would want to wait until after we get this deep look at Grand Theft Auto. That way, once Nintendo does their own extended look for the Ocarina of Time remake, it's after the dust is settled a bit on GTA, and that way Ocarina of Time doesn't get overshadowed a bit. To be clear, what I'm saying here isn't that GTA would ruin Ocarina of Time sales, but if GTA is really dominating the conversation for a week or two for the masses, it might hinder the opportunity for the Ocarina of Time remake to reach that larger audience. Because when they put out this deeper look, it's gonna do well, it's gonna be trending. I'm talking about Ocarina of Time here. Of course GTA is gonna be on a whole other level because it's for various platforms and GTA is huge. But Nintendo does want Ocarina of Time to be their system seller. So they are going to want to put out this game, and they are going to want it to dominate the headlines for at least a little while. So a lot of people who are perhaps holding off on buying a Switch 2, once they see this game, they see what Nintendo's putting into it, they'll actually take a look at it, and that's going to be even more people that will continue to talk about this game, spread that word of mouth, and more people that will more likely pick up a Switch 2 during this holiday season. So I do think it makes some sense for Nintendo to be strategic about how they position the reveal for the Ocarina of Time remake. No, it won't be behind a paywall. Nintendo has not done that before. I doubt they'll start anytime soon. But there are also other factors, as I mentioned. What about the movie? Do they really want to put that all in one direct when they're talking about other things outside of Zelda's 40th anniversary? And do they want to put out information before there are these different events where people can go and play this game? How do they want to handle that? So there are other things to consider here. How big of a window of time do they want where they can have this more ramped up marketing plan? Because right now, obviously, they're not really saying that much. There are various factors to consider. That said, clearly little things are coming out almost every day about Zelda's 40th anniversary or the movie. We're going to continue to learn more and more about this stuff. I'm going to continue to talk about this stuff, theorize about this stuff. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.